Hello, chemistry crew. It's Kara Lenorvitz, and welcome to our 14th week of the segment. And we are definitely nearing the very end, so the number of these videos is going to be limited. So let's jump right into what to expect this week. In terms of housekeeping stuff, we are really in the same boat that we have been the last couple of weeks. So you're going to continue to use the weekly learning plan. We're going to continue to have our synchronous session meeting on Thursday. So we will see everybody together from 9:30 to 10:15. And office hours will continue to happen on Tuesdays from 8:30 to 10:30 and Wednesdays from 1 to 3. The upcoming stuff, which is a little bit new, but also familiar to you, is that you are in your last module of the year. So hang in there. You're really close to a fabulous finish to the year. Also want to remind you that if you have past due work, that work that is more than 2 weeks old is being replaced by zeros in the gradebook. Those zeros, again, are not an endpoint. But it does give you hopefully a red flag of, oh, this is something I need to go back and take care of. So remember that you need to be looking back at the gradebook and your grades and making sure that if you have any missing pieces that you are following through with doing those. And if it's something that you think you need help with, please reach out to me during office hours. I'm happy to help you and address any questions there. I also want you to be mindful that as we're getting close to the end of the semester, there are some pretty important deadlines coming up for you to make sure you've submitted work. The first one comes up on May 21st, and that is the deadline for any remaining work that you have from modules 5, 6, or 7. That work needs to be submitted no later than May 21st. That's a Friday. That will ensure that I'm able to assess and give feedback on that work and get it back to you so that you can still use it as a useful resource as you are taking your Segment 1 exam. So make sure you're following through with those pieces. The second really important deadline is coming up on May 28th. That is also a Friday, and that is the deadline for Segment 2 work for Module 8 and for your culminating segment exam. So you need to have those pieces done by those dates. Part of the other motivation behind that is to make sure that your grades are in and finalized through VTVLC in time to get them to your sending school in time that they can process them, so that those grades are present by the time report cards need to go out and or by the time you are ready to be putting on that cap and gown and walking in graduation. So make sure you're paying attention to those really important deadlines. In terms of visually, what does this look like? We are right here in this week that's circled in red. We literally have 4 more weeks left together in this school year. So you really want to be mindful of the dates and the pacing and the time. You will see that next week we will be wrapping up Module 8 with your last discussion-based assessment of the year. So make sure you're really thinking about how to get yourself ready for that. Being on pace with Module 8 is going to help you out with that. The following week, we're going to continue our synchronous session. That is when that first deadline comes up for modules 5, 6, and 7. So again, make sure you're paying attention to that. The last week of May, on May 24th, you will have access to your final exam. That final exam and any remaining work that you have from Module 8 is due as a deadline by May 28th at the end there. Setting yourself up like this not only will allow me to get your grades in on time, but it also will allow you to enter into Memorial Day weekend without having any further academic obligations for chemistry. So a good goal to have in front of you. Let's look at what you're going to be doing this week. You have 2 new editions of content in Module 8 this week. The first is 8.03, which is a solutions lab. As a forewarning, some of you may have the materials that you need at home to conduct this lab in person, and others of you may not. So here's how I'd like you to approach. I would like you to read through the background information for 8.03 so that you get a good review of what you've been thinking about for solutions. I would also like you to read through the 8.03 lab, and I want you to think about what your hypothesis would be and how you would answer the conclusion and discussion questions if you collected that data. If you have those materials and you would like to conduct that lab, you are absolutely encouraged to. However, the lab itself is going to be considered optional, and it is not a required or graded assignment. That being said, you will be responsible for the understanding that is practiced in that lab. So I encourage you to make sure you're reading it carefully so that you could think about those concepts. The second area that you're going to be focusing on in 8.04 is about acids and bases. So you're going to be learning a little bit more about the pH scale and how acids and bases are actually solutions in which we are representing a mathematical concentration of the hydronium or hydrogen ion concentration, or the hydroxide ion concentration. So you're going to be learning a little bit more about that, the properties of acids and bases, and what makes something an acid versus something a base. Lastly, you're going to be attending class on Thursday. We're going to be getting together as that full group again, and part of what's going to happen during that time is we will also set up and start registering for your DBA the following week. I look forward to seeing all of you in class on Thursday. Let's take a quick peek at the weekly learning plan. All right, the format should be well familiar to you at this point. So you've got an introduction at the beginning, the new learning objectives, communication reminders about pacing and those deadlines that we just talked about a moment ago, and then your to-do list. So again, this week you have 3 jobs to do. The first job is the solutions lab. Again, conducting the lab itself is optional. It's not going to be a required assignment, but reading and experiencing the background information and considering what the lab is asking you to do are pieces that are going to be an essential part of your understanding. So make sure you're taking the opportunity to do that. The second job is acids and bases. So you're going to be doing a little bit of background reading. I encourage you to check out the additional videos, and then you're going to be taking a short quiz. And finally, third job, you're going to be attending class on Thursday. You'll see again information here about office hours, as well as upcoming work, of which there's not much, and some new opportunities that you might want to pursue as well. So here's the quick recap. 3 jobs this week. Complete 8.03. Remember, you're going to preview and think about the lab. It's optional to conduct. 8.04 on acids and bases and attending class. And then if you're in the position where you are behind pace, make sure you are really focusing on catching up, and absolutely do reach out for help if you have any questions about current material or how to strategize a plan for catching up as we close out the year. I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. I hope you have a great week. Take care.